Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and PALDEAN Tauros' 3 forms have arrived to the world of Pokemon Go. Its forms are Aqua Breed, which can be encountered through raids in the Western Hemisphere, Blaze Breed, which is in the Eastern Hemisphere, and Combat Breed, which is in the Iberian Peninsula. All these raids are remote raidable, which is quite nice. Now today we're taking a look at the best form, and that is going to be Aqua Breed. This is a water and fighting type Pokemon with the moveset of Double Kick, Aqua Jet, and Trailblaze. From raids, they are too high of combat power for the Great League, but you can do what I did, which is trade it down to get it low enough. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. And we're off to a pretty okay start in game number 1, leading Claydol into Jumpluff. I can tank any one move here. This Jumpluff is actually on Energy Ball, and that's going to inflict some pretty solid damage. But speaking of solid damage, I have access to Ice Beam, and that is massive double super effective damage onto the Jumpluff. Jumpluff will fire off another charge attack, and I'm very okay just playing this out and fully sacrificing the lead, because I'm hoping that my Paldean Tauros will have better play in the back once the Grass Flyer is off the field. Opponent, they're actually on double nuke on the Jumpluff, and this means that I can overfarm quite significantly. So I get to exit one away from the back-to-back Rock Tombs. Down goes Jumpluff. What are they going to be sending in here? It's going to be a Shadow for Alligator, and I will immediately bait with the Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb bait is successful, and now Paldean Tauros hits the field. Paldean Tauros is farming up. This thing, not the tankiest around, especially with the IVs I have, so I will commit the shield. In the back is going to be Lapras, and I'm very happy that I still have the HP. Trailblaze, big damage onto the Lapras, and look at the boosted double kicks go. Oh my goodness, Paldean Tauros Aqua Breed popping off in game number 1. We're gonna get a full farm down and exit with 2 more Trailblazes, and this is gonna be a full end game sweep. Trailblaze number 1 is shielded, and now this is double boosted. This poor for Alligator, absolute mincemeat, and that's a good game. Very tough lead in the next match. Claydol into Shadow for Alligator. I'm going to save switch into Credilli. Opponent makes a wise decision, which is settling for the Hydro Cannon. If they went for the Ice Beam, I could actually outpace. Here, they are going to make a very nice catch, catching onto Annihilate, catching the Rock Tomb bait. It's the Shadow Annihilate as well. So, unfortunately, I'm not able to make it to my next move. In comes Claydol. Claydol, unfortunately, even though this is debuffed, is still going to be taking quite a lot of damage because Shadow Annihilate hits hard on absolutely every Pokemon. I think I would actually get knocked out here. I don't have the highest rank Claydol, so I am forced to commit a shield and get a big farm down. I know that my opponent does not have a move banked on the Feraligatr, so when they bring it back in, I can throw a Mud Slap and fire off a Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to be shielded. They're firing off energy, and I just have to trust in Paldean Tauros to try and sweep in this endgame. Alright, Tauros is going to hit the field. In the back is Shadow Drapion, and one nice thing about being a water fighter is you do wall off Drapion's moveset. Opponent expecting a shield baits with an Aqua Tail. I will take that because that's less damage than Crunch, even though both are resisted. Aqua Jet is going to connect. That's some pretty significant damage. Opponent makes one final charge attack, and I will commit the shield. Back in comes Feraligatr there, energy dry, and oh my goodness, I get the double up. I need Aqua Jet to knock out here, and I need to win CMP. Paldean Tauros winning the CMP tie over Feraligatr. Please knock out. Aqua Jet KOs Feraligatr, and Aqua Breed Tauros able to clutch the win. Great lead in the next match, leading into a Drapion. We're going to see a safe switch into Lapras. Honestly, this team doesn't have an amazing response to a Lapras safe swap, so I'm just going to stay in here with the Claydol, because Claydol does well enough into Lapras that it's fine to stay in, but my opponent is probably going to be more than happy just to take the shield advantage, because the Zeros is going to be the only shielding scenario where Lapras does well here. Lapras is going to be firing off its debuff Sparkling Aria, but I will exit with quite a lot of energy, which is nice. Now this energy is very, very threatening. That Ice Rock coverage offensively is very, very clutch. Opponent sending in the Drapion, and this tells me that it's probably a flyer. I'm thinking Jumpluff. If it is, I have to bait it out. So I do one, I switch, and I catch and sneak an Aqua Tail. That should hopefully put me back on a winning path. Oh, that's not a Jumpluff, but it is a flying type. Now we know why they couldn't send in their third, because Talonflame would get absolutely destroyed by all of this rock coverage. Here, my opponent is going to do a very nice job over farming. They will need a Brave Bird to knock me out. Brave Bird is going to come through, but I can bring back in the Claydol. Claydol going to fire off this Rock Tomb. And now, since they're double debuffed, I think they can't farm me down. Oh my goodness, they can. I made a huge mistake. Oh my goodness, I should have just switched in Tauros right away. Now I have to call a bait. I no shield. It's the fly. In comes Drapion. Drapion, it's going to be a CMP tie. Thankfully, I do make the move here. Aqua Jet is going to pick up the knockout. In comes the Talonflame. I don't get the Aqua Jet, and I think they're at the back-to-back. If I had just switched in the Paldean Tauros instantly, I would have been fine. But I thought with the double debuffs, I could survive and get to the move. But I was gravely mistaken, and we will lose that game. We move to the next match, Claydol into Shadow Drapion. So an opportunity for redemption. There's a save switch into Furret. I'm just going to throw this Rock Tomb on alignment, just trying to debuff my opponent because I know if Furret gets a bunch of boosts going, it can completely run away with the game. I've given my opponent a massive energy head start here, but Furret is only scary when it's boosted. It's at -1. Well, now it moves itself back to 0. So that first Trailblaze did absolutely nothing to Credilli. And now I can even overfarm a ton, throw 3 Bullet Seeds and the move, and really put pressure on this Furret. Furret is going to decide to let this go. Opponent probably going to send in the Drapion. I really cannot afford to concede a farm down here. I have 2 better responses, so I'm going to pivot into Paldean Tauros. I'm never quite sure whether to call it Paldean Tauros or Aqua Breed, so I'm probably just going to call it Paldean Tauros, but just know that the different forms do have different typing and different moves. So I'm able to no shield that Crunch since it's debuffed and resisted. Another move is coming through, and I will actually shield up the Tauros. It is going to be an Aqua Tail because I don't know what they have in the back. And that's not the Lapras I was expecting, but it is an Azumarill. Azumarill going to be smacked with a Trailblaze. Trailblaze, big damage onto the Azumarill. Azumarill overfarms too much, and they play to a CMP tie that they do not win. And that's an advantage of running a Pokemon on day 1. People just don't know the counts. So in that instance, that overfarm just wins me the game on the spot. I can now send in the Claydol, and the opponent will resign the match. We move to the next match. Oh my goodness, Claydol into Shadow Steelix, the dream lead. There's a safe switch to Wigglytuff, and this is great for Claydol. Claydol being up a turn here, very, very nice. Able to fire off the Rock Tomb, so that way the opponent does not get their sneak. They can fire off an Icy Wind, but it's debuffed. And I believe I can actually get a sick Bullet Seed farm down here with the Credilli. Oh my goodness, I get it. They're not going to get an Icy Wind. They're forced to settle for a debuffed Resisted Swift, and that's going to do absolutely nothing. They pivot back into Steelix, and that tells me that whatever they have in back is weak to Credilli. So I could probably do worse than trying to preserve Credilli with a move. I'm going to fire off the back-to-back Grass Knot. Steelix just taking massive, massive damage. Steelix has farmed up quite a bit of energy, not enough for an Earthquake though. I am going to be no shielding. It's the Breaking Swipe. I bank the move, snipe with Paldean Tauros, and let's see, what do they have? They have 1 HP on a Wigglytuff, and they have a Mandibuzz. It is Air Slash, so this is going to be a very bad matchup for Paldean Tauros. But I have a Rock Tomb on Credilli, and I'm 1 off the Rock Tomb on the Claydol. So even though it's a really bad matchup for Paldean Tauros, I have successfully hedged my bets. Now, I'm just going to try and do as much damage as I possibly can here, continually chipping away at the Mandibuzz. I'm hoping Mandibuzz shields, but they wisely do not, understanding that the rock moves that I have are going to do more. Aqua Jet is going to be shielded. Credilli does have the Rock Tomb banked. I send in Credilli, and I'm firing off the Rock Tomb. This is going to be a tough call to make. Do they decide to catch? I'm going to overfarm. I don't see the catch. It's a CMP tie, and that's going to be a win. Oh my goodness, that was nerve-wracking. I overfarmed by 1, thinking they would switch right when I got the move, but they actually just stayed in. Claydol into Talonflame. I definitely like being the Claydol in this matchup, as I can always force a shield or force a switch out. Anytime they throw on 3, it's always going to be a Brave Bird. I can survive the Brave Bird. Out comes Furret, and Furret will immediately be debuffed with the Rock Tomb. I really like having Furret starting at -1. It just really makes life so much easier. Credilli, I believe that a Rock Tomb is not going to be enough to knock out from this health range, so I will need to go for a Grass Knot. They're going to go for the Trailblaze. I'm firing off the Grass Knot, and this will inflict some pretty solid damage onto the Furret. Grass Knot is going to connect. Furret absolutely rocked. They're going to fire off 1 final charge attack here. It's only the Swift. They're going to pivot back into the Talonflame. And if they're switching this into a loaded Credilli, I'm expecting Credilli is good and back. So I'm going to farm up, do 3, and the catch onto the Claydol. Claydol had no energy, so I may as well just use it as a damage sponge. So now they get knocked out. In comes Tauros, and I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I'm 1 off a Rock Tomb. They're clearly weak to Credilli in the back if they're bringing in Talonflame, and I can look to overfarm quite significantly. So I'm going to exit with an Aqua Jet loaded here. I'm at the back-to-back Aqua Jet. Down goes Talonflame in the back. It's Shadow Ape, and I instantly lose the game. I'm 1 off a move on Credilli, but I can't get there because 2 counters will KO, and an Aqua Jet does not knock out. I throw at the last second. They end up making a catch onto Furret, but realistically, this catch doesn't impact the outcome of the game. It was already a loss because an Aqua Jet does not KO Annihilate, and Credilli can just never make a move. Here, my opponent, they realize now that they've caught that they are just going to go for a little bit of bad manners there by throwing the Rage Fist, knowing that a Grass Knot will not KO. But had I landed the Aqua Jet onto the Annihilate, then they very easily could have just KO'd with 2 counters, and I'm never able to make a move there. Dream Lead Claydol into Morpeko. There's a safe switch into Shadow for Alligator, and I actually decide to bring in Credilli here. Arguably, PALDEAN Tauros Aqua Breed would have been the better Pokemon to send in here. But my thought process was I know Credilli can always win the zeros, and even if they do full send the Ice Beam, they're going to exit debuffed. And now I can bring in Tauros, and Tauros is basically just going to try for a sweep. Opponent overfarms a ton, so I'm just going to fire off the Trailblaze instantly. That's going to pick up the knockout. Now I'm boosted, and look at the double kicks go. Morpeko getting melted. Unfortunately, I'm going to be hit with Psychic Fangs here from the opponent, but the Aura Wheel, that tells me they're not on Psychic Fangs. They're probably on Seed Bomb. I'm just going to under-tap this Trailblaze because I'm hoping the next double kick will knock out. It just does not. They try and snipe with Mud Shots, and it's a Swampert in the back. Oh no, 1-hit KO. Morpeko gets farmed down, and that went very wrong for the opponent very quickly. We move to the next match, Claydol into Shadow Drapion. Drapion going to fire off an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail does do quite a bit of damage, so I will actually throw the Rock Tomb on alignment just to get some damage applied before my opponent is able to fire off a move. I'm more than happy just to sack the Claydol here because I can get a shield advantage, and a shield advantage is exactly what PALDEAN Tauros wants. PALDEAN Tauros is going to look for a farm down here. They're going to bank a move and pivot out into Talonflame, but I don't think Talonflame's going to like what PALDEAN Tauros Aqua Breed has for it. That's massive damage, almost a 1-hit KO. Tauros shielding up the fly from the Talonflame. The double kick went through. Oh no, it's for Alligator in the back. This game is over. My opponent ends up shielding the first, probably not familiar with the pacing on this new Pokemon, but I make it to a second Trailblaze. That's huge damage. We get the farm down with PALDEAN Tauros. Drapion gets farmed down as well, and this Pokemon is fun, my goodness. We've got a battle of Mud Slappers in the next match, Claydol against Shadow Marowak. I know that I do win the zeros here, so I'm very comfortable just letting this go, and again, just trying to play for shield advantage. No baits here, just going straight for the Ice Beam. Opponent calls the Rock Tomb, and they get KO'd. In comes Furret. I'm going to pivot out into Credilli. Furret banks a massive amount of energy, sends in the Wheezing, and that's a huge problem. A Sucker Punch user into a fighter, that's going to favor the Tauros, but not when they banked as much energy as they did. That's a really smart play by my opponent, and it's probably going to win them this game. My opponent, now with the Wheezing, they know since they're the regular Wheezing, they're not going to get knocked out by 2 Rock Tombs. 2 Rock Tombs just do not do enough damage. I do have quite a bit of energy loaded on this Credilli. I should survive, and I'm going to try for a farm down here. Credilli gets sniped by the Furret, and I'm just getting outplayed in this game. This game is absolutely over. I don't want to shield the first Trailblaze. I know future ones will do more, but that just rocks the Tauros. Tauros, unfortunately, just going to get Sucker Punched down. I'm forced to shield what is now just going to be a boosted Swift, try for one in the Trailblaze, and this Furret is just running away with this game. Furret is such a scary Pokemon when it's up energy. Oh my goodness. I'm firing off the Trailblaze. I'm hoping against hope that somehow I'm able to double kick down, but I just can't survive the Sucker Punches. And my goodness, I just got swept by a Furret. Furret actually ends up going for the full farm down. They have a Pokemon left alive in the back, so they win the game. Hopping into the final match, great lead into Weezing, safe switch into the Malamar. Malamar is a Pokemon this team is triple weak to, so I'm going to stay in with the Claydol, no shield to foul play, and then I will be clicking Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to inflict some pretty solid damage onto the Malamar. Malamar is going to no shield, and Credilli hits the field. I'm going to overfarm here. My opponent tries to play to the CMP type, but that's actually just going to give me a free Bullet Seed, which is very nice. Superpower, even debuffed, is going to hurt. I throw on their 29th Psy-Wave of the game. They're just shy of that next move. And now back in comes Weezing. Weezing going to be hit with a Rock Tomb. Unfortunately, with the damage I've already taken, I think even a -1, I am going to get knocked out here by a move from the Weezing. So Weezing will fire off energy. It'd be really clutch if Credilli could hold on here, but it cannot. Brutal Swing picks up the KO. Back in comes Claydol. In the back is Galarian Moltres, and Paldean Tauros hits the field. This is going to be a tricky game. With the energy they have, unfortunately, I don't think that I can win this with the energy they have on the Weezing, unless I make a crazy call. If they Brave Bird, they win anyway. I no shield. It's the Ancient Power. That's a huge call. Oh my goodness. And with that, maybe there's a chance. I fire off the Aqua Jet. They're going to shield. The pacing on Tauros. We make another. Opponent could have fired off another Ancient Power there, but instead they just get knocked out. And with 2 shields to hide behind, we actually managed to pull this game back from the brink, and we're going to be able to take the win. My goodness, I did not see a win con with that Weezing energy and how low the Claydol already was. But by calling a bait, and a bit of surprise from the pacing on Paldean Tauros Aqua Breed, we're able to get that win. All in all, this Pokemon was way more fun than I expected. I do think that a Psy-Wave meta is not the meta where it's going to thrive the most. But overall, I actually think this is a really solid Pokemon. So it's absolutely worth trying to get one of these. And as I mentioned, if you want it for the Great League, you will have to trade it with someone, ideally someone with lower friendship, so that way you have a lower IV floor. But to me, I think it's absolutely worth trying to get the Aqua Breed. I do think it's probably worth, even just from a dex perspective, getting the other two, but specifically for PvP, at the moment, Aqua Breed does look like the best one, because Aqua Jet is an incredibly good move, and we saw in a few games, with Trailblaze boosts, my goodness, Double Kick suddenly does not look so energy focused and looks a lot more fast attack pressure focused. So I had a ton of fun getting to run this. I think it's anti-meta currently at best for this current meta, but I do think it could potentially be a player in future metas, so it's absolutely a Pokemon worth getting. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.